Here we are. Okay. So anyways, it's kind of exciting to see what's going on in Linda's room because it was, it was sort of my baby to begin with. And then Linda took over my baby and she's running with it. So one thing I wanted to ask you if we could, as a startup for today, is what was a big thing that you took away from this last week's reading? Like, what's something that stood out to you? Either it just stood out to you because it was really interesting, or you really want to know more about this, you didn't quite get what I meant, or anything about it. If you don't mind just taking like a moment and just writing something in the chat. If you didn't do the reading, or if you didn't have something that you want to write down, that's fine. But I mean, it would be good if people who have some thought could put something in the chat now, and that would really help me to see like where your thinking is with this, and what's the directions we should go in. I'll just give you a. I understand, Kimberly.
Renee?
Yes.
While we're waiting, I gave the children, like, we kind of brainstormed different centers that they would like to have in the classroom for choice time.
Sure.
Is that something that you do?
I think that's a wonderful thing to do. I mean, I never started that way. I think it's a really good way to start. I think that's really interesting. And, but I've gone that way, like throughout the year, like, is there anything new that we should be adding? What should we be taking away that nobody seems to be interested in right now?
Yes.
Etc. So what came out of your brainstorming?
Oh my goodness, a long list. They have Play-Doh, the writing center, the reading center, block center, science center, math center, let's see, kitchen, the quiet area was something that they chose, the sand table, a water table, which I'm working on getting for them. Let me see, I can't think of anything else. And I set up about 5 to 6 centers, the way I did it last week was I set up 5 or 6 centers, and where they have to stay at the same center, it's best, because I find with my students that works better as well, because they just roam if I don't. Mm-hmm. And so I had the same centers for the whole week so that they could have an opportunity. Should I do that, or can you change them every day, or?
What do you mean? The children change every day, or the centers change every day? I'm not.
Like either or, because last week I kept the same centers, but the children rotated. Chose a different center the next day if they wanted, to go wherever they wanted.
Right.
But I'm just wondering, does it work just as well if I find there's a center they're not using, we could go back and revisit and change up a center or two?
Well, my suggestion is if you find there's a center that they're not using, okay, look at the center carefully. Try to think about, why aren't they using this center? Mm-hmm. Is the center physically attractive? Does it have enough variety of things for them to decide what they want to do with the material? All right.
Okay, good point.
And then after you think about that, then think about what's one incredibly interesting thing that I could add to this center. And in Reggio Emilia, they would call it a provocation. you know,
Yes.
like what is one thing that I could add to the center to see if it sparks a new interest, right?
Okay, thank you.
If it keeps falling flat,
Yeah.
right? I never took a center away without asking the children, without
Okay.
presenting them, without saying, it looks like nobody is really interested in the math center, right now.
Mhm.
Nobody's gone to it for a few weeks. We could use that space for something else and then come back to it another time. Like think about it today and we'll talk about it tomorrow. I always said that too. Think about it today and we'll talk about it tomorrow. All right. So the idea is you're telling them this is a thoughtful conversation. It's not just something that we're just going like that. Um, and we have changed centers that way. I think I might have mentioned. Did I mention last time what happened with the block and the dramatic play center? I don't know if I mentioned that to you, but
I can't remember.
so my class one year we did a great big inquiry study on bridges, like a really big bridge inquiry study. And as the year went on, their bridges were becoming, because we visited so many bridges.
Oh, yes, you did.
Yeah. So at a certain point, then they weren't playing in the dramatic play area. And so I thought it would be maybe if I took that away, then they'd have more space because they abutted each other. And I just assumed they would say yes, but they didn't. They said,
Oh,
"Oh, don't take it away. Make it little. We'll have a little pretend area." So that I think I mentioned how it became bookstore study, blah blah blah. But so you just never know, what they're going to think about it. But I think that my feeling was it's our room together, right? It's our
yes, that's how I feel.
and
Yeah.
their input is very important, and I think I think that's really one of the reasons the hour room thing is why I feel I don't understand why teachers need a teacher's desk in the room, right? Because I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it takes up their space. You know, you
Yes.
know, you shouldn't. Teachers, by the way, should not be sitting at their desks. Kindergarten teachers just do not sit at their desks. I
Mm-hmm.
can't imagine, like, if the teachers are spending time sitting at their desks, something's wrong in that classroom. So you don't really need a desk, but you need a space for sure, but it doesn't have to be a teacher's desk. And so when I go into classrooms sometimes where the teachers insist, so they must have their desk. I don't get it. I just don't get it. But I can't make the decision for them, but I can let my feeling be known about it.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, did anybody write? Let's see.
Thank you, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome. All right. I'm just getting used to like wearing reading glasses, and so it'll look like this, and then, no, I can't see it. So let's see. M. Who is M? Choice time. Oh, Mariana. Mariana, where are you? Raise your hand. Let's see if I can see who you are. I want to try to get to know who everybody is. Where's Mariana?
Hi.
Oh, okay. Hi. It's going to take me a while, but choice time to start the day every day. You're asking about that?
No, that was what
Oh,
stood
that's what
out the
stood out.
most.
That's what stood out.
Yes.
Yes.
For me. Yeah.
Well, first of all, choice time to me is the most important time of the day, especially in kindergarten. And um, I thought it would be the most important time of the day in first grade, and I would do it every day in first grade. But the reality of public school came crashing down on me, and so we had it 3 times a week and not every day. But so I think definitely for me every day, and to start the day, I started the day with choice time. I did do that, and I did it like for a few reasons. All right. So one reason that I did it was because I thought it was so important. All right. And it was like it started the day off in a very invigorating way, and it carried through the day. What the children did, it carried through the day. So that was one reason why I did it. Another reason why I did it was because there's a real temptation if you have like I don't know, Johnny in your class who was like testing the limits all day. I mean, testing it, testing it, testing it. There's such a temptation to say, Johnny, if you keep doing that, you are just going to miss your choice time today. All right. If anybody needs not to miss choice time, it's that child who is testing the limits. He really needs that choice time, you know. So I didn't even want to put that temptation anywhere near myself. I didn't want that at all. So that was another thing. That was like because of me and because I thought that was really important. Another reason that I did it, right? And now this could just be in the area where I'm living, you know, where I was teaching, is that if I did it at the beginning of the day, I, I, I told parents that it would be really helpful if I could get parent volunteers during choice time, and if it would be consistent, right? So, in other words, if Charlotte's mother Rachel said that she could volunteer on Tuesday, I would say to her, Rachel, can I count on you every single Tuesday? Or can you get a partner and alternate Tuesdays? So I know that I have somebody covering on Tuesday mornings, you know, and I ended up covering every single day that way. And that way I was able to like do woodworking, I was able to do cooking, I was able to do things that I couldn't necessarily do if it was just myself. And I did choice time, and having choice time in the morning, like first period, if it was just once a week or once every other week, I found that a parent was able to arrange their schedule so that they could come in that time. There, that like 9 to 10 o'clock, once a week, every week, once a week, every other week. It worked for me. It worked for me. And sometimes it was actually babysitters who came. You know, then their babysitters came, or a grandparent came. You know, but it wasn't just hit or miss. Like I knew I scheduled cooking because I knew that somebody could be there at that cooking table, or somebody could be at the woodworking table. Otherwise, I couldn't do it. You know. So those were like three hardcore reasons why for me, choice time was at the beginning of the day. You know, the main thing was that it just really sparked the day. It was like, you know, when kids were coming into school and they knew they were gonna have a morning meeting, my kids would come in, and they didn't line up downstairs. Their parents brought them up to the classroom. And they would do like a morning job, like if they had a calendar to do, or if they watered the plants, or fed the animal, or they took books to look at, or whatever. It was like a very loose time at the very beginning for a few minutes. And then we'd have our morning meeting, and then we'd have choice time. They literally skipped into the room. You know, they just knew that something really exciting was going to happen right at the start of the day. And I kind of liked having the day that way. Let me see what else. Okay, I'm going to go up to the top. I didn't realize.
Thank you.
Let's see. How can we better manage students switching from center to center in a pre-K class? Well, you know what? My experience with pre-K, and I taught pre-K for like 12 years, right? So my experience with pre-K was, as I said last time, was that I started out with a shorter choice time, all right? And we started out with the children deciding where they wanted to start. So they had a starting off point. You know, we talked about the possibilities and they had a starting off point. And they went from center to center at the beginning, but less and less as the year went on, less and less, because I was able to observe them more and see where their interests were and really make those centers geared towards the interests of the children. The idea that people think that pre-K kids can't concentrate for a long time, that's totally not true. I mean, I remember, again, I might be repeating myself, but the last time that I went to Reggio Emilia in Italy, the schools there, I went into a classroom in one school, I observed children, these were 4-year-olds, at their centers. If I was there for 40 minutes and then I had to leave, right, to go on to another school. And in that 40 minutes, I didn't see any child leave a center. And there was no teacher standing over them saying, you must stay there. At this point of the year, I was there the middle of October. They just were so engaged in what they were doing. They had their materials were so interesting, and they just were very engaged in what they were doing. But I feel like, for me, I feel like pre-K children need to have that flexibility to be able to leave a center. But I think as teachers, we need to really observe those centers and observe those children and see, like, you know, how can I make this center even more appealing, even more self-directed, you know, with materials where they would be self-directed in what they're doing and collaborative. And, you know, it's really our observations that will do it. I don't know if that answers the question.
Yes, just to be clear. So you didn't have like a structure for the children to go to this center, go to this center, or you already went to that one? They just like kind of went. And what if like they all wanted to go to the same center?
Now, isn't that interesting? Let's see what would happen if, let's say it was the blocks, all right? Let's say the blocks, all right? Or pretend, all right? The dramatic play area, okay? And so let's say you have like 16 children in your class and they all go there. What do you think would happen at that center if they all went there? What do you think would happen?
Great things would happen.
Maybe great and maybe not so great, right? I mean, you know, so let's say like, it's like a mess. It's like arguments and someone's crying.
Yeah.
So then you have a meeting at the end and you say at your meeting, I noticed there was a major problem at the play center, at the dramatic play center, at pretend, whatever you call it. What happened? What happened there? You guys have to talk about it. What happened? So they'll say there were too many people, we were crowded, blah, blah, blah. So they say, so how many people do you think could play there really well? How many people do you think could really play together and not be too crowded? All right. Maybe they'll say 10. You say, okay, so you know what? I'm going to put a number 10 next to the picture for dramatic play. And let's be sure that there's only 10 people in that center, all right? And then let's see what happens, you know, until you get to, you know, they'll figure it out, you know? So that's one way that you could do it. I mean, you could be more authoritative about it and just start out by saying, this is a center that only has this much for children, this much. But actually, I think it's even more powerful when the kids kind of discover on their own that this is not going to work. It's just not going to work. You know, we have to limit it, you know, but also they have to know that that center is always going to be there. As long as they want to play there, that center is there. So if they want to go back tomorrow, or if they couldn't get there today and they want to go back another day, that it's going to be there. It's not going away. And once they get to understand that the center is not going away, then they'll feel easier about trying another center, you know? So that's been my experience, okay?
Thank you so much. And I love this way because I didn't really want to be really authoritarian at this age and say, no, this is closed, no more children here. So I really like this idea of putting like a number limit of students per center and let them figure it out. Thank you.
See what happens and we'll next time tell us, all right? Okay, let's see. Next.
I will.
Okay. Let's see. I have a very small classroom and 20 students. I feel extremely challenged with the space limitations, movement and traffic is chaotic. Whose is that? Okay.
That's me.
Okay. So when you say a small classroom, how small? Give
I'm not really good at dimensions, but it's extremely small. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to tell you dimensions, but truthfully, you know, I have desks and And storage is limited. And so kids need the desks to store their materials. And so I'm trying to think outside the box. And I've had so much support from my colleagues who always come up with ideas, but it has become a challenge, especially reading this chapter. And it just seems, I would love to create what you describe, you know, have different centers and you have the kids being able to move freely around the classroom, and the space limitation just makes things completely chaotic. I just feel like, you know,
what's your age group?
Second grade, so they're, you know, bigger, yeah. And I have started to do choice time on Fridays just to get the hang of it. And so what I am doing is I take one center outside of the classroom, out in the garden area. But then you've got the supervision issue, you know, and you've got kids in the classroom and outside. So truthfully, I'm trying to, like I said, think outside the box and see ways that I can manage
certain things. Like I worked in a first grade classroom where they had it was tight space there. And first thing is, I would look around your room and say, what furniture do I have in this room that I do not need, that I really don't need? Children can do writing with a clipboard sitting on the rug. They don't all have to be at a table, right? They could do reading also sitting on a rug or on, you know, a pillow to pull out from under something, or, you know, one teacher, Fanny, who I worked with, she was able to get, I don't know how she did it, but she got the money to get like, I forgot what you call them, like hampers. I don't know. They're like little,
like baskets, big baskets, or
no, they're not a basket that you sit on it, but the top opens up. It's padded. The top opens up and there's storage inside it, you know, but it's a seat.
Yeah. I get it. Yeah.
Like a cube, almost like a cube, you know. And so she has a few of those. In this one classroom, this first grade classroom in a school in Manhattan, in the Chinatown area, they some of the tables, the teachers made the legs. I don't know if they cut the legs of the table. I don't know if they would have gotten away with that, but they were very low. The table was very low, too low for a chair. All right. And they got cushions. And so the cushions went under the table. And when the children needed to sit, they just pulled the cushions out. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but it makes a lot more space in the classroom when you do something like that. So it's really a matter of, first of all, streamlining as much as you can. Get rid of as much stuff. And, you know.
Yeah, and that's so hard, you know, because, you know, you think that you want to create little spaces by using furniture to create like little areas. But you know, and what you said in the chapter is like, you know, just look at all the furniture that you have in the classroom and get rid of whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying get rid of everything, but
excess.
Get rid of excess. And, you know, listen, I took a long time, and one thing I know is that teachers are hoarders, right? Terrible hoarders. You know, I haven't used this in 2 years, but maybe I'll use it next year, or maybe if you haven't used something in a year or two, get rid of it. Get rid of it. You know, you can get rid of it all different ways, but get rid of it. You know, don't hang on to it. You can always get it again. You know.
And I have one question. When you talk about dramatic center, like dramatic play, does that mean just giving them? What does that look like?
It looks different in different classrooms. I must say, I never say the kitchen area. All right, because, you know, I don't want to limit it to a kitchen, you know, but in some rooms, it's like set up like, you know, it has all that kind of kitchen-y
furniture.
But the kids can change it if they want to. I think I might've told you last time about the use of hollow blocks. Did I mention that?
Well, no, I don't remember that. What?
Do you know what hollow blocks are? They're like the wood blocks, but they're hollow inside, and they're a little bit bigger, okay?
Yeah.
So they're very strong, and children can stand on them. They can sit on them. You know, they're made so that can happen. And so the first time I did this was when my friend Bill called me and he said he was really frustrated because, you know, he had 26 kids, and I mean, I'm sure his room was bigger than yours, but you know, 26 kids are 26 kids, and he felt like, you know, the block center wasn't big enough. He had to make it bigger, and there's no space to make it bigger, and they weren't doing good block building, and that was frustrating him. So I went in just to look. He taught across the street from where I live, which is where I used to teach, you know, and I went in there to look at it, and I just said, you know, this is just an idea. It's just an idea. But what if you got rid of the whole dramatic play center and got hollow blocks and got just like a bookshelf near your carpet, and in that area put the hollow blocks, and maybe put one basket with like doctor stuff, one basket with like dishes, you know, different things there, you know, and maybe even put a little curtain over it so that it's not distracting when you have your meeting on the rug. And then when it's choice time, the kids can make whatever they want. They can do whatever they want with it, you know?
Right.
And so that way it frees up the one whole center. It frees up one whole center, you know?
Okay.
And with second grade, you most certainly could do something like that. Most certainly,
right.
You know?
Great.
So that is a possibility, I think. But you know, and I understand the challenge. When I went from teaching in a private school, and I taught a combined pre-K kindergarten, and I went there I changed in the middle of the year. The public school where I ended up teaching, they got a grant. This was in the 80s. They got a legislative grant to open up a pre-K. It was like half-day pre-K. It was before New York had universal pre-K. And so the room they gave me was like the teacher's lunchroom, which was like this little ugly room with very high windows, and it was kind of gross room, you know. But two parents came in while I was trying to set up and looked at it and said, "Oh no, it can't be like this." And they came back the next day with paint, and they painted the walls, which was really nice. But it was a challenge, you know. It was a definite challenge. And I remember having a big argument with the custodian, because in public school, often the custodian rules the roost in New York anyway. And because I wanted to have the easel in the hallway. And he just flipped. He said, "No, but I won, and I did it." You know, I folded it up and put it away when we didn't have choice time, but I kept it in the hallway, you know, where I could see them from the door and all that. Another thing that some teachers have done is, like, you know, a quiet, cozy area is empty out a closet or the bottom of a closet and turn that into a little cozy room. You know, put pillows in it, and kids can go in there to read, to talk to each other. It's like a cozy spot. Maybe one of the times I could show you like some pictures or something.
Yeah, that would be super helpful.
I do have pictures of all of this, you know.
Thank you.
Does that help?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, it does. It does. Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Next. Something that stood out to me was how choice time helps young English language learners, students, gain vocabulary and literacy skills. You know, that is absolutely so. I mean, really, really so. And the proof of the pudding here is that in that one school where I mentioned where they cut down the tables to make them lower, this school was in Chinatown, and the first grade had was it a dual language, or maybe it was, I can't remember what they called it. One was like all the children only spoke Chinese. They all spoke Mandarin, all of them. And then there was another one where some spoke, and some was English as a second language, ELL class. And then there was the third where they were fluent in English, all right? And the principal really hated this idea. She didn't want to separate it, but the superintendent insisted. And so she had to do it. But when they had choice time, these teachers came up with this wonderful idea of, they did an inquiry study, an animal study, of letting the children pick. They had a choice of 3 different animals, all right? And they gave them books to look at, et cetera, to think about what kind of class pet would they like to have. and then the children chose their top one and the second one that they really were interested in. And what they did for choice time was they split. All right, so the children mixed up. One class had a turtle, another class had hamster, another class had insects, or I can't remember, it was different things. And so the kids mixed up. Kids who never mixed up together were mixing up. And it was so quick that they started to, like the children who were not speaking any English, so quick that they were starting to speak English. It was just amazing to watch, So I think that the children playing together like that, they absolutely, it does extend their vocabulary and it makes them more confident. And I have so many things I would love to show you, but one thing is the second grade teacher, Angela, she did choice time and inquiry in her classroom. And I asked her if she could interview children who are now in third grade about their memories of it. And there was one little girl who she interviewed, and this little girl who came in not speaking English, but now she was speaking quite well, And she said that choice time was very important to her because it made her feel more confident and it made her have friends. It was just, her speaking was just beautiful, what she said, So let me see what else. Displays speak of a story of the learning that's going on in the classroom. This is an area that I want to develop. Yes, and I've been working this last year. That's something that I was really working with the teachers who I was doing consulting with, was the idea of how you can make the learning visible, right? You can make it visible and see so that the children and the adults who are there can see the progress of the learning. So it's not like, 20 pictures of the same thing, but it's more the process, all right? You can see the process. And I think that what I'll do is when I write to all of you to remind you about this week, I'm gonna write it down to myself. I'll send you a link, let me write down, link to Learning Visible. A very, very short, I think it was from Project Zero, a very, very short little video about making the learning visible. It's so clear and it's so beautifully stated. So I'll send it to you when I send out my next email. Have children create anchor charts rather than pre-made, or the teacher even, whatever. But I mean, not, like, it always sort of depresses me when I go into classrooms and see these commercial charts all over the place, and I can't understand why they're up there. So I think that either you make it collaboratively, or children, do some writing, or you do it together. But there's no reason to have commercial charts in the classroom. You want that classroom to reflect you and your students. That's what you want it to reflect. In my classroom, I do choice time between my lessons. I'm struggling with balancing work with small groups while still trying to observe what's happening in the choice time centers so I can build on them. Do you have any suggestions? My first suggestion is not to do anything else except choice time when you're doing choice time. Whose is this? Who am I speaking with? Okay, so what grade are you teaching?
I'm teaching kindergarten.
Right.
Hi.
Hi.
So, I have all the centers kind of set up, and like I have a kitchen for the dramatic play area. I have a science center with microscopes, and like last week, the kids brought snails in. They made a little habitat. I put boxes in there. I have a math center with just some manipulatives and stuff. Like I don't have that much materials yet. Mm-hmm. But what the way I saw choice time as, I teach a lesson and then have the kids go and practice whatever we did in that lesson. But I'm stopping them and then having them come back and then teach another lesson or do a read aloud or something like that. But I think listening to you now is that maybe doing the choice time at the beginning of the day and just concentrating on choice time for an hour.
Right.
And then do your math and your literacy blocks.
Absolutely. And the thing is that you're going to, as you know, keep bringing things in, like you have a science center, all right? Yeah. And they have snails at the science center. And you could talk one day at your your meeting before choice time about how scientists, they keep a record of what they're doing, so they can remember. And so in case the scientists at the science center want to do this, you made some little booklets, just blank books, and they could do pictures of what they're observing. They could write some words of what they're observing. Also, you have, put out some books about snails at the center. You're not giving them a task, but you're giving them the possibility of doing some reading and some writing as part of, you can say you're a scientist, you might be a researcher, you might want to find out something about those snails,
Yeah. So the suggestions that you're talking about, they would be done for your morning meeting. That's how you'd start your day. And then they'd kind of move into the choice time from there.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, and you shouldn't be doing other things other than being, observing them at choice time.
Okay.
Sometimes you might want to have a special center where you're not doing observing that day, but you're, maybe you're going to have a Play-Doh center. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe on Mondays, right, or whatever day you start the Play-Doh, you're going to sit with a group of children that day, at least for half the center time, and make the Play-Doh with them. So you have a recipe chart, and you're making the Play-Doh. Then you can walk away, But
when you're kind of set with the kids when they're doing their choice time and they've decided where they want to go, you kind of have a plan that day of where you're going to probably go more so than another center, and do like maybe plan a little activity once a day with a different center probably.
I'm not clear about what you just said.
So like when, we have our morning meeting and we meet at the rug and discuss what possibilities or suggestions maybe they can work on in the choice time centers. My own planning, I could plan to do like a Play-Doh recipe with a group off on the side kind of thing.
Well, that's a center.
Yes.
Okay. Play-Doh center.
Yeah.
So it's not a special thing for that day. You have a Play-Doh center. And on this day of the week, the children who go to Play-Doh actually make the Play-Doh that the children are going to be using all week. And every week, there will be 4 or 6 children who come to make Play-Doh with you. All right. And it's, and you don't even have to spend the entire period making it. Probably won't take the entire period to make it. It'll probably take half the period to actually just make it. And then they do have a job after they make it, is they have to clean it up. They have to wash the things that they did. You probably wash it better later in the day, but they clean up after themselves and then they play with it, but you are there with them at that time, when they do that. Okay. Is that clear?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. I have a small classroom in kindergarten. What helps me is to put the children in charge of getting out the materials they want to use. For example, a tub of blocks. At the end, they are in charge of putting everything away. Only my tiny kitchen stays set up. Can we stop saying kitchen? Can we start calling it dramatic?
That was mine, and it is a kitchen.
It is a kitchen, but it doesn't have to be a kitchen all the time, right?
It kind of does.
Why?
I mean, because it's very small, and it's just a sink and an oven.
Okay.
I guess it could be other things, but
could be a doctor's table, right? It could be a restaurant that they have there. It could be all sorts of things.
We also actually, they do serve food out of it to kids in the class. So they do that, but it's only like a station to make food at.
Well, then I would rethink it. Okay. If it was me, I would rethink it. I would think about like what could I change here? Because you want to open things up to.
Oh, I'm sorry, I totally get that, but it's what I have, and it's a small self-contained unit.
Yeah.
So I have a table and chairs by it and other things. But the point of my post was just to say that everything else can be pulled out and then put away.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing else that's stationary.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Well, I mean, we're coming at it from like maybe different visions. Okay. Different visions of the classroom and different visions of, so I have mine. And I think as we read the book, maybe you'll see a little bit more of that. I if it's working for you, okay, I can't negate that, but I just feel like I like the classroom set up in a way that there are areas that children know are those particular areas, like I'm going here and I'm a scientist. I'm a scientist at this table. I'm using the microscope. I'm looking at the snails, or I'm whatever it is that they're doing. I'm figuring out things with magnets. I'm a scientist here. Or I'm a block builder here. And if they're pulling out the blocks, by the way, then they can't leave things up, right?
Right, because my classroom isn't big enough for that. I mean, what you're saying sounds absolutely lovely.
How big?
I'm in a portable. I'm not in a, typical. I don't even have bathrooms in my room.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I didn't have a bathroom either. but like, how many children do you have in your class?
Oh, I have a really small class this year. I have 19.
Okay.
So last year I had 26.
Wow. In that same space.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I would have to see your space. I mean, if you want to, you could send me some photos. You have my email, and I could kind of think about what you have there.
Okay.
Try to give you some ideas. And there's the same idea that I said with the hollow blocks, where the children set up their own dramatic play area, or it could be all sorts of things. I have this wonderful video from Linda's Choice Time room of, these were second graders, I think, or first grade, I can't remember, who created, they were on an airplane and they were going on a trip across the country, and they had maps out, and and then there was another one where they made a restaurant and they was serving food. One of them said, "I'll have sausage and avocado, please," and they had made menus and things, and those were all with hollow blocks. Those were all where the children created the dramatic play area that they wanted to have. But so I think that, for me, blocks are really important. I think they connect so much to all different parts of the curriculum. The blocks, they're mathematical, they're design, they're almost like an art form because they're design. They're dramatic play. It's so much comes of it. So I really hate giving up that block space. I would give up other things rather than give up a block space, but I understand. I know what a portable is like. We had them across the street from part of my school was in portables. And I was always very happy that I wasn't moved to the portable, so I do feel for you for that.
Thank you.
Also, the painting easel could be put on the wall too, it could be hitched onto the wall. Ron, same here. You have small kindergarten room, you have tubs trays that are on a child level shelves that the children are able to get out during choice time, and they're responsible for putting them back after. So I don't know, the same thing I'll say to you, Ron, like think of priorities there, all right? Think about, is there any furniture that you could possibly get rid of that you don't need? Is there another way, as I said, with dramatic play, where it doesn't have to be a center, but the children create it? In this teacher, one teacher that I've worked with a lot, she just had, the kids just like she didn't even have the hollow blocks, you know, they just had all different materials and they came onto the rug and they did their things, you know. But she doesn't have, like, she got rid of her like kitchen stuff and all that because she wanted to have space for a lot of things to go on, and she wanted to have a good block area. But the same thing I'll say to you, if you want to send me photographs of the room, I'm you know, I'm more than happy to like really look at it and, you know, and see if I could think of something, you know. And I'm not saying I can, but I certainly would try to, or a little video, even a video clip even tells more than that. I don't know if you're up to that. Are you up to doing that?
Yeah, I am. I appreciate that, actually. So you can see what the space looks like.
Sure, that
is small.
It would help.
And then, yeah, I'll send you some photos and video.
Okay, great. So here I have a question. Whoops, where did that go to? Oh, how loud does it get during choice time, say in a preschool or kindergarten classroom? You know, it's not quiet during choice time. Let's put it that way. And the sound of children playing, all right, makes noise. The sound of children screaming is something else. So, you know, like, I mean, I didn't say to my kids during choice time, use your quiet inside voice, you know, but I would remind them sometimes that we're not out in the schoolyard, you know, and that they are playing in their group. And so that everybody in their group has to hear what they're talking about and doing, but I don't have to hear it all the way across the room. So I have a tolerance for children's noise. You know, I do have a good tolerance for that. Some people don't, I guess, but I think it's not quiet during choice time. If it's too quiet during choice time, I would wonder about what's going on there. I think the younger the children are, the quieter it is, actually, because they have less language that they're using. But again, I could show you a video of a class during choice time. How am I doing? Am I running? Okay. So I might actually have time to show something, but let me look some more at your other questions so I don't miss any. Love the idea. Yes.
Could I share something?
Sure. Who's I? Oh,
this is Linda Shute.
Yes.
Okay. Patricia Meyer wanted to ask. She wanted to know about how we planned out choice time for second graders.
Right.
So I just wanted to let you know that Renee was in my room last year. She created the room for me. Like, she put it all together. And so we have a writing center, and it goes, so I do pre-K. I teach 5 different classes, all different levels, pre-K through second grade. But I have to add, I did last year have third grade for just a trial, because they had a free time, so they were able to come into the room, and they loved it. And it's not like, I know someone mentioned about the noise level. It's not like a screaming, they're conversing. And it's when you walk around and you can hear their different conversations. So it's not like, if it gets to be too loud and they're yelling, then, you know, I'll say, can you hear the person next to you, that kind of thing. So the level, they want to maintain the level themselves so they can play. Otherwise we can't, it gets to be difficult. But the choice time for second grade is the same as I have for the younger grades. So we have the writing center, but it is different. You know, what comes out of there is different for second grade that kindergartners do. They would like us to dictate a story to them, you know, whereas the older kids, they can write their own little diary or journal, whatever they're writing. But so we have a writing center, the light table, the blocks, dramatic play, art is where they create things. And then they have the painting center, which is separate. And the sand and water table, a take apart center, that's a very popular one, which always needs an adult with them there. But like I was saying before, it's the same centers, it's just how the children are using them. Like I noticed in the very beginning of the year, especially with the younger children. Am I talking too fast?
No, you're good.
No. Okay. Okay. Especially with the younger children or the special ed children, they parallel play. So that was like a big deal for me. Like, so now that I'm watching them as they're developing and they're on their own. I'm not saying a word. They're just learning how to play together. So that is something. I also had a special ed student the other day. Well, actually the past few times, always picking the art center. And he's not making anything, creating anything, but for what he's doing is he's taking these little chips and just keeps making a pile every time he comes in. So I went to the special ed teacher. I'm like, you know, he's doing the same thing every single time, but not that it's bad, but I just want to, you know, like, what would he, so the special ed teacher suggested just take them out of the center for the day and see what he does. And he didn't have a fit or anything. He just picked something else to do. So I didn't know what he was going to do with that. But so that's what happened there. But yeah, so it's something that even the third graders would enjoy.
Yeah, yeah. And Linda, I remember the first time you took the third graders in there, and you had a video of a group of third graders in the block area, and they were almost frantic because it was almost like, are we actually getting to do this? Will they take this away from us? Right? They had to be assured that it was okay that they were doing that. You know. Let me see.
I hope I answered your question.
I think it did. I'm trying to see. Getting rid of the teacher's desk gave him more space. Yes. There's a link here. Who put a link here? Going on a trip in the choice time room. Oh, is that it, Linda? Did you put a link to that? I don't know why. I'm gonna click on that link and see what it did. Okay. I don't know what it is. Oh, did I do something wrong here? Okay. All right. Can you see this, everybody? Or do I have to share my screen?
It's a link to an Instagram post.
Can everybody see it? Or do I have to?
You have to share your screen.
Okay, let me see. I'm so bad at
this. Or we could take a minute each and look at it individually.
Let's see. I did something very wrong here and I can't find you now. So let me get off here. I don't see you here now.
Just close that tab and then you'll see us.
I did, but I still don't see you. Host attendees.
You might have to click the little Zoom button at the very bottom.
Oh my goodness. Let me see. I'm going to try this again. Oh my goodness. I'm missing you. Where am I? I'm sorry I'm doing this. Why am I not meetings?
Do you see your name there?
No, I can't. All right. Launch meeting. Allow. I'm like relaunching it and nothing's coming on. I am so sorry about this. I don't know what I did here.
Are you on an Apple computer, Renee?
Yes, I am.
What about down at the bottom? Could you just hit the Zoom button at the bottom?
No, I'd have to go to, wait. I should be here. I'm on my Zoom. I'm on the page that says Zoom.
Yeah, I just clicked the green button there, just to minimize it, and then we're up behind it, I'd say. I've done that before.
Yeah. Wait, not the green. You don't mean the green one, you mean?
Yeah.
The yellow one.
Yeah, either or, yeah.
Oh, no, I'm totally out. I'm so sorry. I
We're still hearing you.
Yeah, and we can see you.
You can see me? Why can't
you? Yeah.
You just can't see us.
Yeah.
My meeting. I'm back to my meeting. 7 p.m.
Up and to the right, you have a button that says view.
No,
maybe if you click there.
It just says nothing is there. It's weird. Let me see. Let's see. View.
Take your time.
I am very sorry about this.
No, it's good.
Don't worry.
It says launch meeting. I'm back to that launch meeting part.
I just checked to see if I clicked the link when I was full screen, if I lost you guys, and I did. So all you have to do is do like a 4-finger swipe to like the right or left, and then you'll get to the screen where we are, I think.
What do you mean by a 4-finger swipe?
Like on your mouse pad, like if you do like 4 fingers over or back, then you'll get to us again, I think.
I'm swiping.
Like, because we're probably on a different screen for you.
All 4 fingers at the same time. Swipe right or left.
On your keypad? On your mouse pad, sorry?
Yeah, I'm doing that. It's moving. Ah, here you are. Okay.
There we go. Perfect.
Okay, I'm so sorry about that. So let me do a share screen. That's what I'm doing now. Share screen.
Yes, share screen.
Okay, and then I'm going to.
If you don't want to lose us, just take us out of full screen when you click the link, and then you wouldn't lose us off your screen.
So, do you see my share screen thing? You see my
Not yet.
Not yet.
Oh, okay, let's see. Desktop. Do you see my?
Now we do.
Okay, now I'm going to do the link. Okay. See if that'll work. Okay.
Patrick, we gotta go west. We take a turn into Kansas. Okay, I got it. All right, nice. I'm taking a turn into Oklahoma. We gotta go south. Okay, so south. Okay, we need to go 2 hours. Okay, we need to go 2 hours into Texas, and then we have to go 4 hours into New Mexico. So we gotta go north. We gotta stick to north. No, we need to stick to west. I'm cooking food. Okay, it's right time here. Not quite in New Mexico yet, so we're gonna take a landing down. We're gonna take a landing down in Oklahoma. I'm cooking food. Patrick, we gotta go north. No, we just took a landing down in Texas because it's time to sleep.
So it gives you a little bit of an idea, right? Now, here's my challenge, everybody. I want to get back to you. What do I do now?
Stop.
Just stop sharing your screen and you should be able to see us.
Okay, let's see.
It's the button that says stop sharing.
But now all I see is the link. Let's see. Oh, wait. You see, there are many things I'm really not good at.
You're still sharing?
But I don't see where it says to stop sharing. I'm back on where it says launch meeting. Here, wait, you're coming back, wait. I can't get all of you back. I'm so sorry about that.
Click on the Zoom icon down at the bottom. It's like the blue camera.
Okay.
Down a little bit. There, yep. And
Yeah.
then you should, when you click that, does it say stop sharing?
Nope. Oh, you were sharing. Stop sharing. Yes.
There you go.
Oh, God, I'm so sorry. So let's see. I think I might have. Oh, okay. We're going on. We have used Kiva planks often. What are Kiva planks?
Kiva planks are they're specially balanced, but they're about 3 inches by an inch, and you get like probably 5,000 of them in a big rolling bin.
Mm-hmm.
And then they can, oh yeah, she's got them. Camille has them. And with that many and it's just, they're all the same object. So the kids can stack them. They can create mosaics with them. They can create ramps. It comes with like ping pong balls.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really like, it's nice because space wise, they all clean up really well.
Right.
But you can also leave them out fairly easily. And like in our STEAM lab for the older kids, we usually like have a purposeful challenge for them. Build the tallest structure you can, build the most interesting structure you can. But during choice time, the kids just use them for whatever they'd like to. And they turn, into everything from, you know, like kids make dollhouses out of them and paths. And
can I ask you something for next week? In the chat area, could you share a photograph of
oh my gosh, yes, absolutely.
That's something that you all could do. Actually, you could share photographs with each other that way in the chat area. So I don't like keeping you too long because I know you've all been teaching all day and probably exhausted. But is there anything that anybody really, really burningly wants to ask right now? So I want to say that there's not a meeting next week, but there is a meeting the week after, okay? The chapter the week after, it's a very dear chapter for me. It's called A Classroom Where Centers Thrive, right? And again, I think what we did today was actually good because I got to really hear what it was that you wanted to hear from the chapter. So maybe you could think of something that you would like to ask or share the next time. And I'm thinking that I might end this by sharing my screen again and maybe showing you a little video clip and then it'll be goodbye. All right. Because I'd like to show you a little video clip of the second grade choice time in a New York City public school. And it was the very end of choice time. They were going to have cleanup soon, but the very end of choice time. And this class was doing a robot study, all right? So just so you know that. So let's see if I can do this the right way. And I might not get back to you this way because of how incompetent I am here, but I'll try. Let's say share screen. Desktop. Let's see. Desktop. I just have to find it, sorry. And I hadn't planned on this, so I didn't have it out on my desktop. Of course, I can't find this now. Yes. Yeah, I'm going to find this now, wait. I don't quite know why it's not opening, but okay, let's see. All right, I'm not having a good time finding this. Let's see. No. I'll give this one try, all right? And maybe this is a little poem. Okay, let's see if I can do it.
It's not actually a real tent. What? Look on your hand. Did I tell you?
What gave you the idea to make a chart?
We should be following the instructions.
So you were following instructions?
No, we actually need to. Then what's the instruction for? The people will follow it. No, it's just so you know how to do the stuff. Dude, this is a house. Wow, this looks much more easier by using the instructions. It just looks like a pool yard. Oh, we can make a pool. But there's no water in it. It's all water. That doesn't have to be water. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
You know, he may need some help here, right?
What? Why are you broken?
All right. This is your warning sign to start finishing up.
We can't. We don't have enough balls.
Oh, then you need to figure out what to do.
Maybe
you need to make it smaller. And remember, you need to stay put in your area. Sean, do you need something?
Make a break and connect the one far away. Did he have his head still?
Oh, you can't have a name?
You just broke the. This is Christina. This is Ivy. You don't have to break it. Hey, Christina's about to step on Ivy. You have to just break it. I'm so bad right now. You have to calm down. You can't make anything. Christina's mom. But it's just make it small. Okay, make a baby because Ivy does that.
Let's share.
Yeah, but you can't make it smaller.
In your choice story. Okay. So,
What center is this?
What's this?
build a story. So they're building a story and then they're going to write out the story.
Anyway, this is just a little clip from a much longer one. It wasn't the one I was really looking for, but it gives you a little sense that a lot of things are going on in the room, and you know, they made use of every part of the classroom. And I don't know, would you call that noisy or just the sound of children? You know, the other second grade teachers are very opposed to what she's doing. She's the only second grade teacher who's doing inquiry study and choice time. They say that it's too noisy, it's too messy, they don't like it. And Angela said she couldn't teach any other way now. And, you know, and that's where it's at right now. So anyway, I hope you have a terrific next 2 weeks. And I will, you know, you could always get in touch with me, as I said, you know, if you wanted to send me something. I'm looking forward to talking about my favorite chapter with you next time. Okay. So have a really lovely rest of the week. Okay. And thank you for coming.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you too. Thank you for teaching.
Thank you. Bye.
And thank you for all the things you're trying, that's a big thing, that you're trying things. That's not easy.